welcome back to my channel. Thank you very much for the patience for everyone who's here right now. I will make sure that this live stream is going to be a very short live stream. If I think I can manage to make it into just less than an hour in terms of content, because I think that the points that I am going to discuss with you is just an extension of what I have discussed in our live stream last week. So, for this live stream, we will be talking about some of the things that we see or we predict that might happen in the next 12 months in terms of pageantry. And there's a lot of things that I think stemming from the 2023 pageant season, we will be seeing as a reflection of what transpired last year that will continue to affect what is going to be the issues and the things that we will be facing in 2024. So, welcome to the live stream, Dandreb Gozum. Thank you very much for being here. Elvis Gerard, so sabi niya, hi Sir Jason. So, maraming salamat sa inyo na nandito ngayon. Now, before we actually start with the live stream topics, I do hope that you would like and give a thumbs up to our live stream para mas marami yung makakita later on once that the live stream is over. And I would also want to start with giving a wonderful, greetings, and I'm hoping that 2024 has been so far a good year for everyone, and I do hope that it will continue to be a good year for everyone, because as of today, we already hit the 6,000 subscriber mark for our channel. So I'm very grateful and thankful to all of you who has been, with me throughout this entire journey. And maraming salamat talaga doon sa suporta, because all of these would not be possible if it wasn't for you guys. Now, 2023, when we closed the chapter of 2023, in last week's live stream, hindi ibig sabihin nun that the things that was quite predominant in the pageant season, in the pageant seasons, in 2023, does not affect the things that are going to move forward as we approach 2024 in the national pageant season. We all know that ipinangako ni Kun An that by December of last year, we should be hearing more of the people who are selected as the national directors for the Miss Universe pageant, and therefore we should be knowing at least by now several new changes and several new directors in the Miss Universe system. So we haven't heard anything yet whether or not Miss Universe Philippines or Empire Philippines retains yung tawag ito, yung franchise ng pageant. However, insiders have been saying that the ownership is going to be under new management, under new owner, but with the same old management. So I am not sure if there is a validity to that rumor or to that insider na mga murmurs. But we hope that in the next several weeks and months, we will get an idea of what's really going on in that sense. Because what I have been hearing is that other pageant systems like TPN, like Miss Venezuela, and I forgot one more. Miss Universe Colombia retains their ownership of the franchise, the Miss Universe franchise. And because of this, there will be changes in the way that the national pageants are going to be affecting yung mga pageants on their respective national na mga fronts. So the franchises that were awarded on the local dun sa mga national organizations would now have to start their search for their selection for their national pageants this year. And this and how does And how this affects yung ating schedule is that kinakailangan for the pageant systems that have already gotten the go signal from their local from the Miss Universe organization with regards to their franchises, kinakailangan na within the months of January, I believe until parang March or April, they should have already done or finished with their state pageants for the US, regional pageants for other for other national franchises. So which means that the first thing that we will be discussing in this live stream that is going to be the one of the things that we are expecting in 2024 is the rise of local and regional pageants. This means na the national franchises ng Miss Universe will have their own search at the provincial, state, or territory na levels. In that case kasi, it will be rolled out to most Miss Universe na mga franchises na kokopyahin na nila ngayon yung yung sistema ng Miss USA, where in order for a candidate to be able to compete at Miss USA, they need to be either appointed or selected through their state pageants as they move towards the nationals. So this means that the first thing that we are going to be looking at as a major change in pageantry this year is yung lalaganap yung mga local, regional, and provincial level na mga pageants. So this means that there are around 72, if I'm not mistaken, na mga probinsya dito sa Pilipinas. There are around 17 regions, from regions 1 to 14. There also is the CAR, the ARMM, mga autonomous regions here in the Philippines that are governed slightly differently from other provinces. And all of these regions, provinces, and even mga pocket na mga cities will be able to field their own candidate for Miss Universe Philippines. Just the same as each 50 states plus Washington, D.C. Are able to field their own candidates for Miss USA. So this is something that we need to be embracing because this is the change that is going to happen whether we like it or not. Now, there are two things that can happen here, which means that we need to dig into ano yung repercussions niya on the candidates. One, if you're a candidate that wants to move forward and be a candidate for Miss Universe Philippines, for example, you need to have to be either crowned as a state or provincial or a city representative from a affiliated partner by the Miss Universe Philippines organization, which means that you are going to be able to join 2 pageants at the minimum, which means that on the candidate side, you need to have deep pockets. Kinakailangan may pera ka na lalaban at the regional level, and if you win at the regional level or the local level, that's the only time that you are able to compete at the national level. And ibang competition and ibang gastusin din na naman ang mangyayari at the national level. Which also means that if you don't have enough money to fund your campaign, then you need to have partnerships with local businesses and sponsors so that they are going to help you build your campaign towards the national na level. And you need these, local sponsors as well for your local and regional na mga pageants. I think that it means for the individual na mga partners, mga affiliated partners, is that they need now to be able to pay the mandatory na um, allegedly 100,000 to half a million worth of what do you call this, worth of fees associated with the franchise at the local level. So ibig sabihin nito, talagang uh, money talks. You really need to have all the financial aspects of joining a pageant in order so that you are able to successfully compete for the highest title. Now, that doesn't mean that there are no other pageants here in the Philippines that does not work in this manner. That is why you also have, on the flip side of the coin, the Binibining Pilipinas pageant, where candidates are going to be able to apply at the national level when the castings and the application starts sometime around the end of January or start of February. So which means that now there is a option for candidates to be able to either go through the regional level first before going to the national, or apply to another pageant system, which is the Binibining Pilipinas, the Mutihanang Pilipinas, if I'm not mistaken, as well as the Miss World Philippines organizations, where where the candidates can actually apply directly at the national level. So the candidates and pageant girls here in the Philippines are spoiled for choice. Kumbaga parang may option na sila whether how they want, whichever they want to go into, yeah, whichever is easier for them on the financial side, on the stress management side, dahil hindi naman ganun kadali yung gusto mong sumali sa isang national competition, dahil malaking gastusin din naman ang involved diyan sa uh, conversation na yan. So you really need to be able to have a strong sense of direction, and a strong sense of what do you want, so that hindi ka rin mapariwara in order for you to achieve the things that you want to achieve. If para sa'yo, um, malaking gastos yung sumali ka muna ng regional or local na pageants, then you also have the other option. However, if you want to, join Miss Universe Philippines because that is the crown that you want, then you need to be able to manage your expectations na ito yung kinakailangan mong pagdaanan, as this is the pageant system that is unique to the Miss Universe Philippines na competition. So, pageant girls, if you really want the Miss Universe na Miss Universe Philippines to crown, then you have no other choice but to go through the more rigorous na process of going into a local na competition, or local na appointment by the associated partners, tama ba yun? Affiliated partners, so that you are able to compete in the nationals. Now, the beauty of that system is that once na lumusot ka na doon sa regional and local na competition, automatic ka ng candidate at the national level. So, it gives you more than, what do you call this? It gives you more than enough na tawag ito na kapanatagan ng loob, that once you're done at the regional and the local na level, wala ka ng stress in terms of the the application period, the logistics of applying at the national level, because you're already a regional or a local level na title holder. So yun naman ang kagandahan nun. However, there are girls who are also concerned with the financials and the budgets ng joining a national pageant. So perhaps if budgets are tight, they might choose to directly go towards the national applications that is offered by the Miss World Philippines and by Binibining Pilipinas na tawag ito um, what do you call this na pageant systems yun. And how about Mutiya ng Pilipinas or Miss Philippines Earth? I think their system still works wherein some local government units would sponsor some of their local girls in their application for the Miss Philippines Earth na or Miss or Mutiya ng Pilipinas na mga pageants. So hindi ganun hindi siya ganun kasing stressful as the other pageant systems dahil meron nang pwedeng mag-sponsor sa kanila. However, they are also open for nationwide applications aside from regional applications. So these are things that would make pageant girls be happy because they have a lot of options in that sense. Now, may mga bagong dumating. Sir Ronan, hello Sir Ronan. Welcome to the channel again. Sabi ni Sir Ronan, hello Sir Jason, good evening. Travel Junkie is here. Hello Travel Junkie. Present po Sir, daming kita ng MUP this 2024. Sana upgrade din yung production nila. I do hope so because very in terms of quality, the Miss Universe Philippines 2023 finals is subpar as compared to its other national level na mga counterparts in other countries. Like it doesn't even hold a candle with the Miss Universe, the Miss Venezuela na competition. Or even the Miss Colombia, Miss Universe Colombia na competition. So parang in terms of quality, marami pang kinakailangan i-improve at marami kinakailangan patunayan ang Miss Universe Philippines in terms of their ability to mount a national na pageant in terms of the level of production. Linel is here. Hello Linel, kumusta? I do hope na may mga alaga ka na in mind for Binibining Pilipinas and Miss Philippines Earth. And hopefully kung meron kang alaga na sasali ng Miss Universe Philippines this year. Okay, so we're done now with the first topic. We are in agreement that moving forward this year, the things that we need to anticipate is yung yung rise ng at pagdami ng mga local and regional competitions for their quest to become the next Miss Universe Philippines. Now the next thing that is going to happen, and that's going to be, something that's normalized, or rather, I think it's already normal for us to see is yung breadcrumbing. Breadcrumbing ng mga pageant girls that every year, during the start of the national pageant season, we will see more pageant girls, whether they are newbies, they are veterans, or they are, planning their second, third, or fourth na national pageant. They will start to breadcrumb pageant fans in order for pageant fans to be interested with these girls if they're going to join national competitions. And in fact, December pa lang, napapansin ko na meron ng mga dito sa Pilipinas, may mga pageant girls na nagpaparamdam na. And there is a negative connotation to breadcrumbing because a lot of pageant girls na nagbe-breadcrumb are actually girls na kung minsan wala naman talagang interest na sumali ng national competition. So this is something that is, has become a, very negative in terms of connotation. When you say kasi breadcrumbing, if you're familiar, it stems from yung fairy tale na Hansel and Gretel, where they would what do you call this? They would leave a trail of breadcrumbs in order for them to, to be able to get back to their homes. And that is where it started, yung tawag ito, yung notion of breadcrumbing. Kasi nag-iiwan ka ng hints for, for people to follow you. And this is the negative part of this is that it makes the ones, the ladies na who are really interested in joining pageants become, nawawala sa kanila yung attention. And this is, there's a good and bad side to this, because for those that have strong intention to join pageants, then we start to get notice of them. The negative part of this is for those na wala naman talagang intention sa tawag ito, sa na sumali, they do this only for clout. And this is this is a terrible na thing, because papansin masyado kasi ang lumalabas ng mga lumalabas yung mga ganitong mga girls. And I remember there was an incident in the past where a pageant girl, just for, I don't know if it was for clout or it was for attention or just to create buzz, filed for a application for a national pageant, and then people got excited, people started talking about it, and then biglang, oops, hindi pala. It was just, a oops moment of her na, I don't know if it was just for attention. And people, really said very negative comments about that kind of behavior. So, I'm sure for Filipino pageant fans na medyo matagal na, alam kung sino yung tinutukoy ko dito sa kwentong ito. And I do hope na hush-hush na lang muna tayo sa pangalan nito dahil ayaw nating malibelo. Okay? So, alam kong alam nyo kung sino yung taong ito. And this is, this kind of clout chasing is harmful for pageant girls na meron naman talagang intention na sumali, dahil instead of pageant fans paying attention to these new girls, nababaling yung attention doon sa mas established na pageant girl na nagpaparamdam, na nagbibigay ng hints, na nagbe-breadcrumb for attention. And this is, something that should be discouraged, dahil kung you're doing this for clout and not really for goodness of your heart na gusto mo talagang sumali, then ano yun, parang papansin lang. Medyo medyo konting finesse naman on that. Kasi I would rather focus all my attention on the kind of girls na meron talagang intention na sumali, na brave and bold na sasabihin that I am joining this year. Kasi you can always intend naman to mention that you want to join another pageant this year, but hold on in the information of which pageant system ka sasali. So yun yung pwede mong gawin in order for you not to be accused of breadcrumbing. Kasi this kind of behavior is really closer to what we call clout chasing. Okay? So, there. Basta muna tayo ng mga ilang comments, okay? Linel, sabi ni Linel, wala pa daw siyang alaga for the national pageant season. Pero foreigners, meron daw siya. So, I do hope that may mga alagaan ka ulit for Miss Earth and Miss World this year. Miss World, kilala ko na kung sino yung hawakan mo sa Miss World. But I do hope sa Miss Earth meron din. Art Laurent is here. Sabi niya, hola friend. Hola, kumusta? I hope everything there is sunshiny weather sa Spain. At busog ang mata mo sa mga gwapong otopa there. Okay, Linel, okay. May tanong si Linel about news sa Miss World. I haven't gotten any news yet. Ultimo chichi, wala pa ako nagrinig. So I am just still keeping my ears on the ground for any new updates on that end. The last thing that I heard is yung March na date. So I am hoping na mas makoncrete na sana kasi ilang buwan na lang ang Marso. Kumbaga parang we only have like 2 months, less than a little over 2 months to prepare for Miss World. And if India pa rin nga ba talaga yung venue, dahil I haven't heard any official posting on the Miss World na social media accounts on that. Excuse me. Okay. Filet o miss, sabi niya, and then sasali na daw this year, for real. Yung chika, yung blind item. I am not sure. There are still no word on saan siya sasali, but there have been several rumors floating around na parang ang sabi is naghihintay siya na ma-appoint ng isa sa mga affiliated na partners. So I am not sure if how true is that rumor. So malay natin. Baka this year nga magparamdam. Okay? Sabi ni Linel, true ba nasasali si Imelda Schweikart ng MUPH Palawan for MUPH? That I am not sure. The last time I heard is parang she applied for Miss Universe Germany. So I'm still waiting for what happened there. Okay? Filet o miss, now, we're no longer asking the girls to galawin ang baso. Oo, wag na nating i-ask na galawin ang baso kasi kung gusto, gagalaw yung baso kahit na hindi nila galawin, di ba? Linel says, magkaka-MU ako this year per for other country. Okay. Kasi wala pa din kasi silang update sa candidates, malapit na yung February. Oo nga, in terms of Miss World, I haven't really heard anything concrete about Miss World this year. So, I'm kind of worried if baka ma-postpone na naman. And I am hoping that they finally should have a date set in stone at this point in time because it's getting worrying yung postponements and delays. Sabi ni Dre Gozum, sana manalo yung senior citizen from Quezon City. Let's wait and see because this is where we would be looking at the Miss Universe organization, if how true are they in terms of their pronouncements about no age limits, no height limits. It's a free-for-all kind of pageant. Personally, I think there should still be some standards that needs to be maintained for a pageant like Miss Universe. But if they say that it's going to be a free-for-all for everyone, then they need to, face the consequences of this move later on. Okay? So if, the senior citizen from Quezon City is deserving of the win, then so be it. Let her compete at the national level. Sabi ni okay, sabi ni Dre Gozum, Apo Wang Od from Kalinga for MUPH. Okay, sige, balikan natin yung mga comments in a bit. I just wanted to finish all of our points because we only have discussed 2 at this point in time. Okay? So, that's it for the pageant breadcrumbing na sana matuto na yung mga pageant girls that if they want to, to compete at another or take another shot for another national na pageant, then they don't breadcrumb. They just flat out say if they are, they are joining again this year. Ito yung mahirap kasi din kasi na may mga pageant girls na parang ang gusto is ma-appoint na lang. So, paano naman yun? Paano naman kikita yung mga affiliated partners if i-appoint na lang kayo? So, if the Miss Universe organization allows yung mga regional and local na mga competitions, then sumali kayo dun sa mga regional and local na competitions bago kayo makarating ng national na level. At hindi yung umaasa na lang kayo na i-appoint kayo ng isang affiliated partner for, a chance at competing at the national na level. Okay? Now, let's talk about the what do you call this, the third point in my listahan. Okay, so if you look at the performance of the Philippines last year, we are on the rise. We had several runner-up positions in last year's competition. Iana Aduana is Miss Philippines Earth Air, the highest na tawag ito na achievement in terms of the Alpha 4 na pageants, which is Miss World, Miss Earth, Miss International, and Miss Universe. And then we have a third runner-up placement, courtesy of Binibining Pilipinas International, Nicole Borromeo, at Miss International this year, and a top 10 finish for Michelle at Miss U. Then, dahil hindi pa nga nangyayari ang Miss World, so we are waiting for the Miss World to happen here in 2024. So we're hoping na sana naman this time matuloy dahil it's been almost 2 years since Gwen and Kirk have been crowned and appointed as Miss World Philippines and Mr. World Philippines in 2021. Ay, 2022, sorry. Okay, so medyo matagal-tagal na. Kinakailangan talaga this time around, ituloy na ng Miss World yung kanilang mga competitions so that we know what's going on. Because if you're looking back at the last year that the Mr. World competition was held, it was here in the Philippines in 2019. So it's almost like 5 years since that time. And Jack Hasselwood has been the longest running Mr. World title holder with approximately around 4 years and several months. So medyo ano na siya, medyo parang if I'm not mistaken, it's exactly is 4 years and around 2 to 3 months na. So approaching 5 years na yung kanyang reign. So they really need to find a way for Miss World and Mr. World to be held this year because it's getting, it's worrying that an alpha pageant like Miss World and one of the oldest, if not the oldest international competition has been postponed this long. So sana whatever financial issues that they have, whatever hosting or logistics issues that they're having because of the postponement, they would be able to resolve this dahil hindi na nakakaganda ng image. There are mga candidates that might be going overboard in terms of their age, and Miss World hasn't made any announcements if whether or not some of the girls will be allowed to compete if they go past the ceiling age. Dahil Miss World is one of those pageants that still has, I think, at around 26 or 27 as their ceiling age for their competitions. So we'll be looking out for any updates on that, and kung meron man, we will be making sure that we will be going to post it on our social media channels. Now, in terms of yung performance ng ating mga candidates this year, there was a general uptick. There is a general upward na trend doon sa mga performance and results ng mga international competitions where We got first runner-up in supranational. We got uh, several runner-up positions in other international competitions like Miss Globe. And in most cases, the Philippines usually make it past the first cut. The only pageant that actually we didn't make it into the semi-finalist among the 8 na pinakamalaking international competitions is actually Miss Grand International. We were first runner-up at Miss Charm. We were first runner-up at Miss Supranational. We were second runner-up in Miss Globe and several other minor international crowns. Um, and then, in terms of performance, hindi rin nalalayo yung ating kapitbahay. So, I think Philippines and Thailand are the countries that are on a general upward trend in terms of performance in 2023. Granted that Thailand has not achieved as many runners-up at international competitions this year, they nevertheless were first runner-up at Miss Universe. They got Miss Intercontinental na title courtesy of Chatnalin. And then they have a slew of other placements at other international pageants. They were top 8 at Miss International. They are the reigning Miss Earth Fire, courtesy of Cora Bliot. And I think they also have at least 3 other um, minor na mga international na mga titles this year with Miss Aura being one of them. So, ibig sabihin nito, hindi rin nagpapahuli ang Thailand. And this is where I am predicting that for 2024, mas magiging intense yung competition between Thailand and the Philippines. We all know that in Southeast Asia, we are perhaps one of the 3 or 4 biggest pageant markets aside from Indonesia, Vietnam. That you know that 4 countries na super into pageants are actually the Philippines, Thailand, as well as Vietnam and Indonesia. So ito yung mga countries na more likely going to go head to head in terms of pageant fandom, in terms of the numbers in terms of the pageant communities. So we really need to be mindful that this rivalry between the Philippines and Thailand is going to be more intense in 2024. And I know that anything that I post on social media about Thailand is going to be contentious from the Filipino pageant fandom. But I do aim that what I see is exactly what I post. I don't embellish it. I don't add anything, anything that would make one country seem to look better than the other. I say it as it is, flat out. That is why when I said, this year, if Miss Universe wants to, to crown a effective winner, they should either crown a Latina or Thailand, and that is exactly what played out at Miss Universe in El Salvador. So if I do make some pronouncement like this, sometimes they are based from gut feel, and sometimes they are based on the general trends that I see in pageantry. So hindi naman siya parang hinugot lang from anywhere, from thin air, but these are usually some of the more observational things that I do tend to put out. And there is no malice intended for this, but rather I post this because these are the things that I see going to play out. So we will see again if this type of gut feel, intuition will come into fruition as we go and move towards the international pageant season later on. Now, nasa na ba tayo about with regards to that? Okay, so because the Philippines and Thailand are are still the 2 biggest markets here in Asia in terms of pageantry, kinakailangan both countries need to be able to bring out their arsenals. And this doesn't mean just crowning the righteous girl, but also um, add something that would make the campaigns of these girls more effective, and to make their countries palatable to international pageant na mga organizations. So this means that on my end, titignan ko is ano yung what are the things that the Philippines and Thailand as a country would be able to bring into the table, that would be something that pageant organizations would really want to sink their teeth on. For the Philippines, we are strong on social media. We are strong in the marketing aspect of our girls, and that is exactly one of the things that we can bring into the table. We can guarantee, sustained social media noise, with sustained presence in terms of, our pageant girls at the international level. However, this doesn't mean that we are not flawed as a community as well, because the Philippine fandom nowadays is split into two. Medyo hindi maganda yung split natin, because there are those who are just noise, and then there are those who are mature but silent. And I think that is the problem that we are currently having in what do you call this, in the Philippine fandom. There we have very strong na mga opinions that sometimes, because of that, we clash with each other's opinions, and we don't generally get a resolution where we meet halfway. This is something na we don't see on the Thai fandom. Sila all out. Parati sila sa kanilang mga pageant girls. And in terms of the machinery that they have, they also have that. And I think one of the things that that they can bring into the table is yung disposable income ng mga local pageant organizations nila, that they can host international pageants, they can produce international pageants much better than we do here in the Philippines. Case in point, between the Miss Universe Philippines and the Miss Universe Thailand na final na competition, you can see which one has the better production. And I think that is the strength of Thailand in pageantry, that they can produce, they can host, and then they can sponsor international pageants, and really make it into a very spectacular show, something that we still need to work on our end. I know both countries have what do you call this, have strong and weak na areas. And for Thailand, yung weak na areas nila is always that when they mount their campaigns, they lose steam towards the end. And I think that is something that they really need to to polish, because it cannot be that your approach towards a pageant campaign is much more like a sprint. Pageant nowadays is a marathon, so they really need to build yung resistance and yung strength, to really stretch yung kanilang resistensya, kumbaga, throughout the entire competition. Dahil if magaling ka sa umpisa, pero you lose steam towards the end, hindi rin magiging ganun ka-successful yung pageant campaign mo. So in terms of the rivalry between those two, they both need to bring something into the table that is uniquely theirs, na pwedeng tumapat doon sa strong points ng kabila. So the Philippines and Thailand, we will be seeing them dominating pageants among the Southeast Asian and the Asian contingent as a whole, but they really need to prove why the pageant organizations, the international pageant organizations, should crown one from these countries. They really need to prove why. Dahil in terms of yung financial gain, there is much more that can be gained for, for if you crown a Thai winner nowadays. But in terms of social media noise and relevancy, mas magaling tayong mag-market ng mga pageant girls. Mas magaling tayong mag-market ng mga winners after they are crowned, Miss Universe, Miss Earth, and whatever international pageant that they win in. Now, fourth doon sa kinakailangan natin, kinakailangan din pag-usapan in this live stream is, I do think that Latinas are still going to dominate the international pageant season in 2024. And this is evidenced by the fact that of the 8 most popular international competitions last year, that includes Miss Charm, Supranational, Grand International, Miss International, Miss Universe, Miss Supranational, Miss Earth, and I forgot the eighth one. Majority of them crowned a Latina, because out of the 8 na international competitions last year, that are a little bit more popular than the rest, 5 of those crowned Latinas, and the remaining 3 is one from Europe, one from what do you call this? One from Europe, one from Asia, and tama, one from Europe and one from Asia. I forgot the third one, but however much we play, Miss Universe is a Latina, Miss International is a Latina, Miss Grand International is a Latina, Miss Supranational is a Latina, and sino pa ba yung Latina na winner? Miss Charm International is also a Latina. So we really need to be insightful in terms of that. Dahil ang mga Latinas ngayon, they're not only strengthening their presentation skills, but they are also strengthening their communication skills. That is why, if you look back at the question and answer of Miss International this year, Miss Venezuela really nailed her final on-stage question, starting with speaking in Japanese and then speaking in English. So they are starting to get the memo that being able to speak is something that they need to work on, and therefore this is something that they started to deliver on. You might be asking, but how come about, like, for example, Miss Supranational, where the main winner is not as eloquent in terms of speaking ability as compared to the Philippines, Pauline Amelinks. There are some exceptions to that rule, because if you look at Miss Supranational, they have a certain mold in terms of what they are looking for in a winner. They usually crown the tall, Victoria's Secret type na winner with very model-esque na body, and that is something that Pauline Amelinks isn't. So they have a certain preference for women who look like Victoria's Secret's angels, and that is something that we need to factor in. However, going back to the conversation with Andrea Rubio in Miss International, she's not only the one who really nailed her onstage interviews during the finals. Even Shanice Palacios in the 2 speaking rounds of Miss Universe really delivered strong answers. The Mary Walcroft na reference when she was discussing equal pay and women of the workforce, getting equal treatment with regards to their salaries. That is something that really blew the competition out of the water. I think she really nailed yung question niya on that, and it goes to show that Latinas are now evolving in terms of their speaking abilities. Now, a lot of fans would still think that they're not as as intelligent as the Miss USA's, Miss South Africa, the Miss Indias of pageantry. Yes, but they are learning to adapt to that. Just because they cannot speak in English as fluent as those countries doesn't mean that they are unintelligent. Again, I wanted to reiterate this. English is a language. It's not a barometer of intelligence. So that is why interpreters are there in order for them to interpret their answers. Much also that needs to be discussed in terms of the Miss Earth na interpreters in Vietnam. If we are able to to rationalize that, oh, Russia could have made it into the top four, or Kazakhstan should have made it into the top four of the pageant because the translator bungled their answers. Then that is the same thing that we also need to you know to acknowledge when it comes to the Latinas, that just because the interpreter bungled their answers, that doesn't mean that their answers are not intelligent. So in terms of the overall evolution of pageants in 2023, I think that Latinas are starting to get, or rather, starting to be more mindful of the speaking and engaging abilities ng mga candidates when they are asked on-stage questions. I think we need to be on our toes all the time because now, I think I mentioned this in passing in my live stream last week. Every time that the Philippines competes in Mexico at Miss Universe, we don't place. And I think that is something that we really need to look at because Mexico is hosting again this year. In the four instances na sa Mexico ginanap ang Miss Universe, we did not place at all. I think case in point, si Dindy Gallardo, nung sumali siya, the pageant was held in Mexico. She was only number 21 in the overall ranking in 1993. And then we also have, if I'm not mistaken, Andrea Ramos, or was it the other lawyer? Where I think it's in 2007 where Mexico hosted and hindi na naman tayo pumasok sa semifinalists ng Miss Universe that year. So we really need to, to pay attention to that dahil Latina domination is not something that we see ending this 2023, but it will continue because they are more than motivated now to win pageants, especially Miss Universe, after the very long drought that they didn't experience winning at Miss Universe during the IMG era. If you look at the IMG era, the only Latinas who won the title or made it into the top two of the pageant is too far in between. So we really need to acknowledge that the Latinas have found their groove when it comes to pageantry these days. So we need to level up just as they did because they really studied the pageants that they competed on and really found their groove in terms of how to win international competitions starting last 2023. Now, the last 2 points that I will be discussing is actually something that is a little bit more about behavior and not necessarily personality, but rather integrity. So this year, we are expecting that pageant fans would demand more integrity, honesty, and fair play when it comes to both local and international pageants. I think that because of a lot of issues and rumors and whatnot with regards to rigged pageants, pageants where judges were placed in order to make a candidate or a group of candidates stand out among the rest. These things still dominated the conversation in last year's international and national pageant seasons. So we need to, we need to acknowledge that because this year, ang mga pageant fans, ang hahanapin is yung integrity ng mga national and international pageant systems and organizations. Because we are tired and we're fed of, pageant competitions where you know that there are certain biases that affects the overall production and results of the pageants that we watch. And it didn't help na last year, lumabas yung documentary with regards to what happened during the issue with Crystal Stewart and her husband with regards to the Miss USA, with a documentary titled How to Fix a Pageant. And this is something na ultimately makes the industry look bad from the perspective of outsiders of the pageant communities. So I think this year, a lot of fans will be looking for pageant systems and pageant organizations that exhibit, strong sense of integrity, strong sense of fairness, and a strong sense of honesty when it comes to how their organizations is run. And this is also the reason why, if you look at Google Trends, among the biggest international competitions, the Miss Earth, Miss Earth, Miss Supranational, Miss Universe, and Miss International this year, I mean in 2023, in terms of search, in terms of Google Trends, after Miss Universe, Miss International was second place actually. And this is, when I was doing my Google trend research, I keyed in, Miss Supranational, Miss International, Miss Universe, Miss Earth, and Miss Grand International in terms of, how do you say this? In terms of trending topics, number one is Miss Universe, and the second spot is a fight between supranational, uh, Earth, and international. But when I dug deeper into those three pageants, lumalabas na on second place after Miss Universe is Miss International. And this is not surprising because Miss International and the ICA, the organization that runs the pageant in Japan, are some of the most trusted na mga pageant systems in terms of their integrity and honesty with regards to how they run the pageant. The second, the second best pageant in terms of integrity, in my perspective, is actually Miss Earth. Dahil they're not afraid to crown, pageant girls who are not from such factor countries. And this is, for me, one of the reasons why, integrity and honesty has become a stronghold nitong Miss International and Miss Earth na mga pageants. So, what I want to reiterate here is that for international pageants, whether it's male or female, they really need to make sure that they run their organizations with integrity, with good intent, and with professionalism. Because for male pageants this year, there's still a lot of work that needs to be done in terms of yung image ng male pageantry, with male pageants popping up here and there. We hear new male pageants almost every month nowadays. We really need to make sure that the ones that we cover, the ones that we follow, the ones that we support, would be male pageants that have not only the potential but rather have the good intent as they move forward. And this is also the reason why on my end, I feel that unti-unti ako magbabawas ng mga pageant ng mga pageants meaning plural, in terms of coverage, because if hindi maganda yung experience ng media, ng mga candidates, at nakikita ko yun in actual na mga coverages, I would lie low with regards to those pageants. So I think it's about time that we really need to weed out yung mga pageants na hindi nakakaganda ng imahe ng pageantry. So, I think this is something that we all need to face um, on both sides of the coin, whether it's the organization, whether it's media, whether it's pageant fans, because unti-unting nakakaapekto ito doon sa mental health natin, mental health ng mga candidates, and mental health ng ng kabuuan ng pageant communities. Okay, and the final point that I want to drive is this year, I still see that fan behavior, or rather fan entitlement, would continue. And this is because it's not because it's something that that is inherent among pageant fans. No, I'm starting to see a pattern here, and I feel that the reason why mas nagiging entitled tayo doon sa mga opinions natin on social media, it's because we do not know how to react to changes in pageantry. And when we point out, yung mga changes na to, whether the pageant fans like it or not, they attack the messenger, not the message. And they don't know how to, not everyone, not all, but rather a huge majority of the noisy na mga pageant fans don't know how to process information that is contrary to their perceived right in the realm of pageantry. So the reaction of pageant fans is to attack the messenger, not the message. And I think that is something that comes with maturity, it comes with experience, and comes with wisdom and intelligence. And I cannot fault some pageant fans with that, because the only thing that pageant fans have a control on is what they say on social media. And this is where it becomes a chicken and egg na situation, where how can you make social media much better when the pageant fans who post on social media use social media to give their opinions, whether it's positive or negative. So I think the conversation would really need to be more mature in terms of that aspect, because there are more younger generation who are consuming social media content nowadays. And because of their age, I see that they haven't experienced, or they weren't aware of what it felt like during the dark ages in the 2000s, on how it felt that we never placed for 10 years. And I think that is something that we really need to to process as a whole, because a lot of more mature na mga pageant fans are able to process and able to to move past yung disappointments when it comes to pageant results, because nasanay tayo and we have that muscle memory na indahin yung mga ganitong mga disappointments, unlike the new pageant fans that, because we have been winning, we have been placing consistently from the time that they started their journey in pageantry, where they started being fans of the pageant scene. They haven't had the opportunity to mature in terms of their response when they don't get the results that they wanted. Ito yung tingin kong situation that really needs to be addressed as a community as a whole, how to how to manage disappointments, because this is something that nobody taught anybody when they started their pageant journey. For majority of the older millennials, the Gen Xers, we are able to process this because when if you grew up in the late 70s, 80s, or 90s, it's not consistent that the Philippines makes it into the semis of any international pageants, whether it's Miss World, Miss Universe, Miss International. Actually, Miss International is the only pageant that we have a better track record in terms of placements as compared to other major international pageants before. And like for example, during the 90s, there were only three major international pageants. And the Philippines does not consistently place year in, year out in those pageants because there were only 10 spots in the semis, maximum of 12 in the 90s. So hindi tayo yung so we were able to process how it felt to lose, how it felt to place, and how it felt to win, even if the title that we win is Miss Asia Pacific, the Miss Asia Pacific Quest. Because on my end, that's the first international competition that I actually watched on TV, and glad, happily it was Michelle Aldana of the Philippines who won that title during that year. So we started, we started to get this feeling of entitlement when we started to place consistently at all international competitions starting in the 2010s. And I think, a lot of us has not yet developed, that resilience to defeat, resilience to disappointment as a pageant, community, because we see a lot of, pageant fans who feel like they're always cheated if they don't make it. If the Philippines doesn't make it into the semis, doesn't make it into the top 10, doesn't make it to the top 4, top 5 of any pageant. And in fact, there is also this internalized, I don't know, uh, internalized double standard when it comes to pageant systems like Miss Earth. Na if the Philippines make it in other international pageant systems, they're very happy. They're happy that we make it top 5. That it was a deserved placement that if a Filipina makes it into the top 5. However, if a Filipina makes it into the top 4 of the Miss Earth pageant, there is like, oh my God, another win for the Philippines. And in that kind of dichotomy in the way that we deal with victories like that shows that we still need a lot of maturing in terms of our outlook in pageantry, because you cannot have a double standard that you're happy when a Filipina makes top 5 at Miss International or Miss Universe, while you feel like, oh my God, it's another, it's a lutong Macau. It's it's bad for the Miss Earth image if another Filipina makes it into the elemental court of Miss Earth. So these kinds of things still needs maturity, and I think more than the entitled na behavior, we really need to strive for maturity as a pageant community, as a pageant as pageant fans and followers, because these are things that would change yung perception ng outsiders sa atin. And being Filipinos, we are so much ingrained sa atin yung validation coming from foreigners, from other people, that we are doing good. We cannot even regulate our own emotions in terms of validation. So there's a lot of areas that needs work as a pageant community, as a pageant as a pageant fandom. So we really need to address all of this in the coming year, because if we don't learn to manage our disappointments, these negative feelings will seep into other aspects of the pageant fandom. This is the reason why if you look at Kun An's social media na mga comments, especially for Filipino na mga accounts, there's sense of like deep-rooted negativity whenever you see yung kanilang mga postings on kunans social media. And sometimes we really also need to learn, the art of Dedma. Learn, to be stoic and have things pass on one ear and pass out the other if it's something that is not helpful to us or helpful to our mental state. We also need to learn, the art of kiss ass. I know, this is something that we don't like to do because we are prideful because we are a proud country. And I'm not saying na gawin natin ito ng madalas. I just wanted to point out na kinakailangan timplahin din natin kung kailan tayo, magpapa-tweetums dun sa mga pageant organizations at kailan tayo yung mag-alsabalutan kung kinakailangan at kailan tayo kinakailangan uh, maggalit-galitan kapag the what do you call this, the situation calls for it. But you cannot have a sustained like negative energy all throughout, the entire international and national pageant season dahil hindi mo lang nakuha yung gusto mong mangyari. We need to internally regulate our emotions so that we don't become disrespectful to pageant organizations, to pageant leaders who own the organizations, to pageant owners, as well as mga people who run the organizations. So we really need to regulate and be respectable and respectful on social media because those are two different things. And also, let's start to learn not to take things personally if things don't go our way. Sometimes it's just destiny stepping in, saying that this title is a destiny that is meant for somebody else. And so yun yung kinakailangan lang natin na tawag ito na i-embody, the kind of maturity that would make us be respectful and be respectable, para hindi tayo parating feeling na pag-aanahan, na nagugulangan parati. Okay? So, overall, I think this year is going to be a year where there will be triumphs, but there will also be challenges. And I think the challenges here is more on, regulating emotions, regulating behavior. And this is not only true for pageant organizations, pageant fandoms, but also to the actual pageant personalities involved in pageantry, whether they are candidates, whether they are handlers, whether they are mentors, whether they are coaches or trainers. So I think the biggest thing that we need to focus on is maturity and integrity in this coming 2024 national and international pageant season, because this definitely will either make the pageant fandom better or would make it more toxic. So ultimately, we need to learn how to regulate our reactions and our emotions to what is happening currently at the social atmosphere of pageantry. Okay, let's go on to some comments before we finalize our thoughts and and close this live stream. Okay, nasa na ba tayo? Dre Gozum is asking for Binibining Pilipinas update for their 60th. I've been hearing some news, no, rumors na lang. Okay, I don't wanna tag it as news, but I've been hearing rumors that they intend to have 60 candidates this year, much like the 50 candidates on their 50th anniversary. For me, that is excessive. I think that the number should be around 30 to 40 lang in terms of the number of candidates, because I think pageants should really focus on quality rather than quantity. Mas gugustuhin ko na kokonti ang mga candidates pero wala kang walang tapon kumbaga. I've also seen that the heads, some of the heads of the Binibining Pilipinas organization have started their annual na meeting on what to do in terms of the glam shots and preparations for the 60th anniversary dahil I am aware that Sir Kines, Sir Patrick Henry, and Sir Raymond Saldana have already sat down to plan for the upcoming Binibining Pilipinas season. Okay, so okay. Linel is asking, paano na yung mga girls na mag-over sa Miss World? I am not sure, Linel, if they will allow extensions on that. Pero, alam mo naman ang Miss World, parang napaka-hush-hush nila on this mga communications. So, I am praying that they would allow extensions. Especially if they were still within the age limits when they were crowned. Dahil hindi naman kasalanan ng mga girls na napopostpone yung kanilang pageant. Okay, Love Dev says, congratulations sa 6K, Mama Jesson. Laki ng improvement on our confidence on screen compared dati parang kabado. It just so happens siguro na unti-unti nang dahil madalas na ako nagla-livestream, nagiging second nature na lang yung pagsasalita on camera. So I think there's still some areas that needs to be improved on. Yung tawag nito, yung predilection ko na kapag hindi makapag-catch up yung bibig ko sa iniisip ko is still an issue. So I'm hoping that moving forward, I'll be able to address that through constant practice dito sa mga live streams natin. The Beauty Critique. Hello, Jason. Just listening and in support of your live vlog tonight. Good evening, people. Magandang gabi, The Beauty Critique. I do hope na kahit paano you were able to get into at least half of the pointers that we discussed in our live stream this evening. Kiisa says, late pala ako, Sir Jason. Yes, pasensya ka na. I started around 8:07. Late na rin na ng konti. But siguro moving forward, I might adjust yung schedule natin ng around 9 every Saturday. Dahil wala pa namang mga pageant na nangyayari. So, there's no need for it to be at earlier na time frame. So, I'll make some adjustments on that para magkaroon ng enough oras lahat kayo na makapag-join. Okay? Carlo Agudita says, it's high time that BPCI to have an international pageant of their own. I love the idea, but ang dami na kasing international pageants in all fairness naman, ang dami na kasing mga international pageants na naglipa na. And if you are not able to market and brand your international pageant properly, parang ang hirap din niyang i-push. But it's not a bad idea. It's just a matter of logistics na part dahil alam niyo naman that Binibining Pilipinas is a charity organization. Hindi naman siya talagang pageant lang sila nabubuhay. And in fact, if you follow yung mga pageant girls, yung mga winners nila, they have a lot of pocket na mga mga events wherein they are also involved with their own mga charity na mga works na hindi lang madalas pinag-uusapan. I know for a fact that even Binibining Pilipinas International, Angelica Lopez, meron siyang mga outreach programs na hindi pinopost sa social media ng Binibining Pilipinas, but when you look at her feed, makikita mo sa stories and sometimes dun sa mismong feed niya na meron siyang mga outreach programs for kids that is not as published as the other activities ng Binibining Pilipinas. So, and this is the same thing as well with, Hannah Arnold and Nicole Borromeo na may mga outreach and mga charitable works sila na hindi natin nakikita on a regular basis. But hit yung mga schedules nila. So, I find it difficult later on if magkakaroon ng international pageant ang Binibining Pilipinas of their own. But maybe, in the future, that would be something na achievable. So, let's see. I'm not, uh, I'm not, I'm not saying that it's a no, but I think once na once na makakuha sila ng tamang approach, they might be able to pull it off. Okay? The beauty critic says, I like the 69-year-old Miss Universe Philippines candidate from Quezon City. Hope the likes of Celia Rodriguez, Navavilla, and Tessie Tomas will also join in. Laugh lang. Cheers, everyone. Okay. On my end, it's a rule na tawag nito na ineradicate ng Miss Universe yung age limits. So, I do hope that whoever wants to compete would go through the competition without the competition adjusting yung kanilang standards in terms of the selection of a winner that will compete internationally. So I do hope na they become mindful of that. Also on the same grain, I still give, respect doon sa mga organizations like, let's say, Miss International, when they said that the reason why there is an age limit that they impose is because it makes the title a little bit more precious because there is a time frame that you can you can pursue it. So because of that, it becomes more precious. The title becomes more precious because you are not, you are time bound in terms of ano yung mga taon na pwede mo siyang i-pursue. So ayun. Now, as a whole, this year, ang tingin ko dito, marami tayong mga adjustments na kinakailangan harapin in the future. I myself am bracing for changes, and I think change is something that is inevitable. And kinakailangan na matuto tayong mag-adjust, matuto tayong maging mature in our response to all of these changes dahil hindi dito maghihinto yung mga pagbabago. The changes that we saw last year is not gonna stop this year. There will still be some changes that that will happen in the next several months as we go through the year. So I do hope that what we do collectively as a pageant community, especially here in Sashes&Scripts, is that we learn how to regulate our responses to these changes and learn how to manage yung response natin on social media as well, so that we don't become embittered as the years go by. Okay, so thank you very much for this very interesting live stream na episode. Thank you again for hitting the 6,000 subscriber na mark. And thank you for the support dahil unang sabak pa lang ng unang buwan ng taon, we already have a milestone achieved once again. So maraming salamat sa mga dumalo at nakihalubilo sa ating live stream. But before we leave, I do hope that you would leave a thumbs up doon sa ating live stream ngayon para once that the episode is over, the YouTube algorithm is going to push the content to other, audiences na hindi nakadalo, hindi naka-join in sa ating live stream ngayong gabi. So maraming salamat sa lahat. I do hope that you will be there again next week sa susunod natin na live stream. Okay? Thank you. Have a great weekend and see you again. Bye everyone!